I felt like Grievous just then.
You know, the movies never explain why Grievous is as cool as he is.
Kat had so many questions. My girlfriend had so many questions about Grievous last night when we were watching this.
We all fucking did.
She was like, does he feel pain? I was like, I don't know, actually.
Does he feel pain? Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Welcome back to Autopsy of a Horror Movie. My name is Brucker, and today I am joined by two very awesome guests. I am joined by Brent of the Uncultured Opinions Podcast and my good buddy Nate. How you guys doing?
Doing all right.
Fantastic.
Happy Star Wars Day, everybody.
Happy Star Wars Day, guys. Yeah, for real.
May the 4th.
Yes, may the 4th be with you. Thank you guys for coming on. Today we are doing a kill grade episode for the movie Revenge of the Sith. But before we get things started, Brent, will you please tell us about your podcast, the Uncultured Opinions?
Yeah, I come from Uncultured Opinions Podcast. I'm sure if you're a fan of Bruckers, you've probably heard of us a lot. But yeah, Uncultured Opinions is a podcast with me and my buddies Sam and Ethan. We pretty much, it's the opposite of anything Brucker does. Like, we are completely unprofessional. We yell, we scream a lot, but like we're more laid back. We used to focus on movies. Now, like, we are a movies podcast, but it's more of like we'll talk about what happened that week, or we'll talk about like random topics, or honestly sometimes we'll go in with a topic and then we'll just like bullshit for like, I don't know, the entire like hour, and then be like, okay, I guess that's the episode. But it turns out really fun. So if you like chaos, like unprofessional chaos, then that's Uncultured Opinions. And then I have a gaming podcast called the Free to Play Podcast, if anybody likes video games.
Awesome. Yeah, I will say something that is very enjoyable about Uncultured Opinions is that it's definitely just three friends getting together and just like busting chops the whole time, and that's always enjoyable to listen to.
Yeah, the amount of times I have to yell at Ethan to shut up because he won't stop talking over me is like the most fun thing ever. But I'm not sure people actually realize that we're joking and that we're friends.
Well, thank you, Brent, for coming on. And Nate, for those that listened to the Tales of Halloween episode, Nate was on there, and we had a lot of fun. And also, Nate and I were co-hosts together on this podcast called Film on the Rocks. But I'm really excited to have both my good friend and Brent. This is the first time we're actually meeting each other. We've been talking a bunch over social media, so it's nice to finally sit down and record together. So today, like as I said, we are doing a kill grade episode for Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and this is to celebrate Star Wars Day, May the 4th. My episodes come out on Tuesday, and so May the 4th happened to fall on a Tuesday this year, so I said, why not? It's my podcast. And
that's a good mindset. I like it.
Yeah, and for those like super diehard horror fans that hate this idea, don't worry, I'm still sticking to horror movies. This is just like a special thing, and you don't have to listen to this if you hate it. So I'll see you next week with Freaky. But yeah, we're going to have fun grading the kills of Revenge of the Sith. I'm really excited to do this. I will say, just kind of tying this back into the horror podcast elements of this, there is a lot of like horror elements in this. I mean, it's a story about deception, betrayal, the fear of losing loved ones, and there's even body horror in this. So, I mean, there's still lots of things to like point out about this that is horrifying, especially when we get to certain scenes. But before we get going, what's everyone's kind of history and just like general opinions of Revenge of the Sith? Because the prequels definitely get a bad rap. Like, there's a lot of controversy, and Star Wars fans are also kind of the worst. But I mean, I like every if Star Wars is slapped, like if the logo of Star Wars is slapped to it, I'm gonna like it. Like, even if I do have issues with it or qualms, like I still enjoy it because at the end of the day, I still find it so entertaining, and that's what a movie needs to do. So I like the prequels. I know that they're not great, but I still have fun with them, and I grew up with them, seeing them in movie theaters as a kid. So I have a lot of sentimental value with them.
Dude, I totally feel that. I am a prequels lover, man. This is probably one of my favorite of the prequels, and I have such good memories of this one. Like, for this one, when this came out, and I think it was like 2005, my mom pulled me and my friends out of school to go see this. So, like, not only did I get to see the movie like the day it came out, but I got to leave school at the same time. And as a middle schooler, I was like, this is fucking awesome.
That's like hitting the lottery.
That's legendary.
She surprised me too, man. She like got all the notes for my friends' moms, and then she just scooped us all out. We're all just like walking down the hallway, like, what's going on? And my mom was like, surprise. It was the best thing ever, honestly.
I had that memory happen with like Batman versus Superman when that came out. I remember like having so many bets with my friends about who was gonna win, and then my dad ended up pulling me out of like school to see it, and I'm like, all right, I'll let you guys know who wins. I'm gonna win this. And of course, Batman won, so I won.
Nice.
Wow, being pulled out of school to go see Batman versus Superman. That's that's a move. That is like the biggest dad move I think I could think of. Because like the thing that Nate's moms did, that's like, I don't know, that to me like makes sense. But like we're going to see the new Batman movie. Like we can't wait till Saturday. We gotta go do it now. I love that idea.
Don't tell your mom. That's always the conversation.
Honestly, I agree with Nate that this is like my favorite of the prequels. It's definitely up there in terms of like Star Wars in general. This is like the most quotable movie like ever. The amount of times I'm able to like quote with Ethan or like other friends that final like battle on Mustafar is like the most legendary thing. And I know it's like definitely one of those things where all like people early on the internet hated the prequels, and then now every like millennial and like Zoomer loves the prequels. But I mean, it's true. The prequels, they're definitely a testament to why George Lucas should not be the sole like advisor on Star Wars.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, they're like a blast of movies. And I was telling Brucker that like Clone Wars that era is the best Star Wars has done. Like I love the original trilogy, and they're better movies than the prequels, but I think Clone Wars, that era, is better than like the original trilogy era of just terms of story and what happens and like just interesting beats, especially the Clone Wars TV show. So yeah, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. That's kind of my history with it.
Yeah, out of the prequels, this is definitely my favorite out of the prequels. It's not my favorite Star Wars movie, but like it's up there, and it's like one of my favorites, I think. I have this really weird tradition. I always watch this movie on Christmas Eve. I have no idea why, but it's just become part of my like Christmas tradition is to watch Revenge of the Sith Christmas Eve night. Don't know why.
That's awesome.
But
well, these movies used to come out in like December, right?
Yeah, at least like
the sequel trilogy?
The sequel trilogy did, yeah. And I think that's what kind of made me get into it, because when The Force Awakens came out, I've already seen it like 3 or 4 times in theaters. So I was like, oh, I just want to watch some Star Wars. I just like pop on the most tragic one of all of them and just watch that Christmas Eve night. But yeah, I mean, I saw this like probably 3 or 4 times in theaters because I think I was in the 5th grade when this movie came out in 2005. Yeah. So I was just, it was just really fun and also just so tragic for a kid, because something I would say that this movie does is that it's really good at least for like a kid, I don't know about like adults, but like it makes you like super invested in the character of Anakin like early on, and like the broship between him and Obi-Wan, and you're kind of just like rooting for them so much, and there's so much emotion behind this, and you really feel it when the movie turns and you see your characters doing things that they shouldn't be doing, and it really makes you feel for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. It's definitely one of those things watching Clone Wars now where it's like, these characters are so good. I don't want to see Anakin like do this. Mm-hmm. Like it's just rough, man. So it 100%. Like I love the character of Anakin and Obi-Wan, and it is a tragedy. Like I didn't see this movie early as a kid, but if I did, I think it would have messed me up for a really long time.
Yeah. Can I speak to something that Brent said real quick before we move on? Is that you were talking about the Clone Wars and how that cartoon is just so great, and that this era is so great, and I would totally agree with that, because it really does add context to Episode 3, and it really adds depth to a lot of characters that are pretty much like throwaways in this movie. And after watching the whole Clone Wars series and after reading like the comic books aligned with that same era, this movie just gets better and better each and every time. And it's insane. So every time you see those deaths, it's just like, damn, I really connected with that dude. I know we've only seen him on screen a couple times, but I read some comics about him. I've seen some episodes about him, and that's like a deep cut. So
yeah, 100%. That's like, It's definitely heightens your experience if you've seen Clone Wars, or like you said, like read comics and stuff like that. Especially like Plo Koon, like he dies in like a spaceship or something. But that hits hard for me because Plo Koon was awesome in Clone Wars. Like he cared about his clones, like to the point where they were family to him and stuff like that. And he was just a really cool dude. So 100%. Like if you like the prequels, Clone Wars is a very slow burn across like 3 movies, but it adds in great characters that you don't see, like Ahsoka and stuff like that. Great relationship. You see Anakin like mentor somebody during all these like events, and that makes it even harder when Ahsoka sees Anakin turn and stuff like that. It's great. Watch Clone Wars.
And that's the thing, like Brent, what you were saying earlier about George Lucas. I feel like he's such like a good like world builder, but he shouldn't be like in charge of like writing dialogue or like very like nitty gritty things like that. So like I see him as like, you know, just an incredible world builder, but like he should not be surrounded by yes men.
Yeah, like even my favorite Star Wars movie, like Empire Strikes Back, that wasn't even directed by Lucas. So.
Right. Yeah, and that's the crazy thing too, is that when we get to the Phantom Menace, that's only his 3rd movie for him to direct.
That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I like this movie a lot, and I'm glad that we're all on the same page, because Star Wars fans could really argue over petty things, I think. But yeah, so I'm glad we're all on the same page of enjoying this movie.
Yeah, I'm in the state of mind where it's like, of course you can critique things that don't work, but I like Star Wars. At the end of the day, if you give me a story I feel like is a cool Star Wars story, I'm gonna like it. I'm like, to quote a YouTuber I like, Star Wars is a dumb space wizard movie for kids. Like, of course there is like important elements that like adults and stuff will understand, but it's just a fun like space movie, you know. Like I'm not gonna take it too seriously. I love Rise of Skywalker so much, and everyone hates that movie. So it's just one of those things. Put Star Wars in front of me, there's a chance I might not like it, but I'm 100% probably going to like it.
I love that mindset. That's so good. So how today's going to go, we will be going through each death kill by kill, and we will be grading them on 3 categories: shock, method, and style points. Each can receive up to 5 points each, giving a total potential grade of 15 points that they can earn. And we'll kind of go through each kill, let y'all know what our grade is, and then kind of just have a general discussion about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Y'all ready to get started?
Let's do it.
Yeah, sounds
all right.
good to me.
Spoilers ahead for Revenge of the Sith. Be sure to watch that before listening to this. All right, let's go ahead and grade some kills. We open up on an amazing cold open to a Star Wars movie. Obi-Wan and Anakin are flying through this glorious space battle scene above Coruscant. They fend off some buzz droids and make it to General Grievous's ship to rescue Chancellor Palpatine. Once they find Palpatine, they are greeted by the Sith Lord, Count Dooku, and immediately engage in lightsaber combat. With Obi-Wan incapacitated, Anakin fends off Dooku and cuts off both of his hands, bringing him to his knees with his head in between the Jedi and Sith blades. After some hesitation, Anakin decapitates Count Dooku. The death of Dooku by decapitation with 2 lightsabers. Let's go Brent, Nate, me. How many points did you give this total?
I think the shock of it's definitely a 5. Like I think at that point, like Anakin, you've seen Anakin get like ticked off like a little bit, but you haven't really seen him do too many like deplorable acts. So at that point, it's one of those like he just decapitated that guy, and like Obi-Wan's still like just like cool with him, you know. So it's one of those things that it definitely shocked me the first time, and then method style. Honestly, I want to give 5 to all of them. I think that
perfect
like,
15.
Like this isn't gonna be like this is only probably going to be the only perfect 15, but at the same time, when I first watched this movie, before I watched it again recently, that was the one I remembered. Out of like the whole movie or the whole like trilogy, whatever, that is the one kill. When you said we're kill grading Revenge of the Sith, that is the one I remember.
I'm gonna actually give that narration of yours a 15 out of 15 because that was I was not I wasn't prepared for that to be honest. You started talking and I was like, oh, okay, you did the kills, man. Total score 14 out of 15. Great kill.
Nice. Yeah, I gave this 12 out of 15. This really only lost points. It's not like losing points, but like, so my breakdown was that I gave it 3 points for shock, and that was the lowest. Just because like I just kind of knew that Dooku was going to die, so like wasn't that surprised he died here, but it was still shocking that it was this early on. So like I gave it 3 out of 5 points for shock. Method, I gave it 4. I just love it's a decapitation, and that like kind of, I feel like that happens a lot in Star Wars, but it was just kind of like the scissoring method of the 2 lightsabers. Like that's pretty rad. So I gave it like 4 out of 5 points for that, and so many style points. I gave it 5 points for style because this scene does such a good job with visual storytelling and foreshadowing. It's Anakin holding both a Jedi and Sith lightsaber, and they cross, like just visually telling you about the internal struggle he's having. Obi-Wan is out of the picture, and with Obi-Wan out of the picture, Palpatine is able to persuade him to go against his Jedi teachings and kill this unarmed person. And it's just foreshadowing about like what is going to happen in this movie. And it's just like the visual storytelling in this is just so good with those 2 blades crossing with each other, and Anakin being in the middle of it. I just love it. It's so good.
See, I'm a little bit shocked that you had your shock rating so low. Because I had mine as a 5, mainly because Dooku was such a big name, right? In this whole movie, and he's like set up to be the big bad in episode 2, that I thought we're gonna get a little bit more of him in episode 3. But for him to die like so early and be such like a big character in this franchise, I was just like completely floored. I gave that a 5. Method, I totally agree with you, like with the swords crossing. That was my 4. And then the 5 with the style. Getting killed with your own lightsaber. Nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good kill. I think, like I said, I just kind of knew that he was going to die in this, I think. I was more shocked at just how early it happened. Especially just an awesome character actor like that, like Christopher Lee. I mean, he's a legend, so, you know, I was, again, kind of surprised that they killed him off early, but I wasn't surprised that the character was killed off, if that makes sense. So that's kind of like where I was at, but method and style points were way up there, so.
Like I said, I agree that the shock should have been way higher. But...
Obi-Wan has found General Grievous hiding out in the Utapau system. Obi-Wan confronts Grievous with maybe the most popular meme of this movie. Hello there. They duel it out, Grievous wielding all 4 of his arms with a lightsaber. Obi-Wan is able to cut off 2 of his hands when the clone army comes in to start to kill off the droid army. Obi-Wan and Grievous's fight takes them to a landing pad. At this point, Obi-Wan is unarmed. After some melee fighting, Obi-Wan is able to tear open Grievous's chest cavity and shoot him multiple times in the heart, all while dangling from a ledge. Alright, so we got a very visual, awesome kill here with General Grievous. Let's go around the horn. How many total points did everybody give this?
I gave it a 9. Okay. I think perfect 3s across the board.
Nice. I gave it a 10, actually. A little step up, I feel like.
I gave this an 8. I like this kill. It mostly lost points with shock. I just wasn't really surprised with the death of Grievous, mostly because to me, this was like the first time I was introduced to this character, and I knew he wasn't in the original trilogy. When I first saw this, I was like, okay, he's probably not going to make it out of this movie, so I just wasn't that surprised. But for method and style points, I gave them each 3.5 points, because I just like that he was being shot in the heart and then like he like burns alive, which is just really cool. And there's lots of style points with the fire bursting through his eye holes, and this is all happening while Obi-Wan is dangling from a ledge, and he just like shoots him while holding on for dear life. I think it's just super awesome.
Yeah, I agree that the shock, I gave him all 3s, but the shock definitely is not the biggest part of this whole thing. It's shock enough to be like, oh, it killed him. But it is one of those, I'm not like, holy crap, they just killed Dooku. Like, Anakin just decapitated him. Oh my god. Like, it's still like, Obi-Wan just killed a guy. But I think where it really does shine is the method and the style. Like, I like shooting him, like, in his heart, like, to the point where he died. I think style is where it really comes out, where you see, like, the flames coming out of his eyes and stuff like that, and he just explodes. That's awesome.
And it's also, like, the audio of, like, his weird, like, he's like, kind of gurgling with it, too. Like, Grievous has a weird voice, so, like, it's all great, yeah.
Nothing like some gurgling. My whole thought with the whole shock process is I tried to think of it in the context of the movie, because pretty much, with the exception of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda, I feel like everybody is on the board for being killed off. You know what I mean? Everyone's fair game. So I tried not to view it from the standpoint of, well, I know they're going to die, so I wasn't surprised. But I would say, like, shock in terms of how it happened.
That's fine.
So that's where I gave it a 3. It was very in the middle. Method 2, just a little shot to the heart. But the style points 5 because, like y'all both said, man, like the flames coming out, like that was insane. And the gurgling and just him hanging from the ledge, it was nice.
I feel like I should give this more style points because it also finishes with Obi-Wan saying that line so uncivilized, which is just like going right back to A New Hope, where he talks about how like lightsabers were like a weapon for like a more civilized age or something like that. So I love that like kind of connection there too, right after he kills him with a blaster.
That was such like a diss too. Like I feel like that was the Halo equivalent of like teabagging your opponent after. You know what I mean?
Yeah. After Anakin is told by Palpatine that he is the Sith Lord, Anakin goes to Mace Windu to have him arrested. Windu and 3 other Jedi Masters go to arrest Palpatine. Windu tells him that the Senate will decide his fate. I am the Senate. Not yet, Windu replies. It's treason then. Palpatine then whirls himself across the room through the air and easily slays 3 of the Master Jedi in the order of Agen Kalor, Cassian Tin, and Kit Fisto. Oh boy. Okay, so we got 3 really quick kills off the bat here by Palpatine. I guess we'll kind of like grade this room as a whole because they're all so similar. So how many points did everybody give this?
I gave it a 5.
I get that.
Oh, I got a 10.
10?
Okay.
Wow.
Oh, 10. Yeah. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, we got to talk about this.
I gave this a 4.
Get the fuck out. Okay.
Okay, so Nate,
right.
you're the highest on this. Please explain us.
Yeah, I'm going to take the floor for this one. Hold on. So within the context of the book, right? I know this is the movie. I know this is a movie grading, but I was very influenced by like the text and the video games and all that stuff. In this scene, it looks like he just kind of like does a little spin, a little fancy spin, just stabs a guy, super simple kill. But in the context of the book, he's moving at like extreme speeds that these guys who are Jedi Masters can't even fathom, right? They can't even put their saber up to defend themselves. Like Kit Fisto lasted the longest only because he had time to pull up his lightsaber before the other 2 guys got killed. So like with that in mind, my shock was a 4 because it was just like these guys just did not know what the fuck was coming. They had no idea what they're up against. They were like, dude, it's 4 against 1. We're about to murk this dude. Did not happen at all. Like the scales tipped immediately in that whole fight. Method 3, I mean, he did a twirl, man. What more do you want?
He did a twirl.
I don't know why you guys are being so stingy with this. Like, he did a freaking twirl. I guess that's more style points, right?
However you want to do it.
3 method, 3 style. He did a freaking twirl. That's it. It was incredible.
I almost gave this 5 for shock just because but in like a bad sense of like, I was shocked at how easily they died, kind of thing. But I went ahead and just went with a 3 just because I was like, I thought this was going to be like a big 4v1 duel we're about to get. Like the Jedi are on a power play here. Like I thought it was going to be just like really easy. And like, I don't know, I was expecting like a bigger scene with this. And like method and style, I gave it 0 style points and only 1 for method.
Get the fuck out.
I just wasn't impressed. Brent, what about you?
Yeah, I gave it a 2 for shock, a 1 for method, and 2 for style. I agree with Nate that it is one of those things where like oh my god, Palpatine like just wrecked these guys like easily. Like I do agree that it is cool that Palpatine just took him out effortlessly, but at the same time, I think I'm ranking these is in terms of, well, somewhat in terms of memorability. Like this is not something I really remember or am going to remember.
That's good.
And he just like it wasn't like there was one for method because he just sliced him. Like he didn't really like do anything, and then two for style because yeah he did the twirl, and then like was like you said was going around at like light speed, but I think that's still generous. Like not the only thing at the end, like the lightning, which I don't even think is what we're ranking, that was like the only like really cool thing in the entire fight. Other than that, it was, oh, I sliced you with my lightsaber. Like it is cool that he just wrecked all these Jedis, but they should be trained for this, you know?
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same line as you, Brent. But because I didn't like watch the Clone Wars, did this scene carry more weight with kind of like being a little bit more invested in these characters? Like, were they like big characters in the show?
I'd say Kit Fisto was a little bit bigger. They gave him a lot more spots in the Clone Wars series just to shine a little bit. But for the other two guys, I feel like they kind of look similar and they just kind of blend in to the background. So not really. So yes and no. Yes and no.
Yeah, I echo the same thing. Kit Fisto's the only one I remember, but I haven't gotten to this part in Clone Wars yet, so I don't know if the scene was that cool or anything.
Palpatine and Mace Windu are in an intense and heated duel. Palpatine does some wild flips, and they end up next to this giant window as their lightsabers shatter it. Windu begins to take the upper hand as he kicks Palpatine to the floor and his lightsaber out of his hand. He corners him as Anakin enters the room. While deflecting the Sith Force lightning, Windu is telling Anakin that Palpatine is too dangerous to be kept alive. After pleading for his life and for a fair trial, Anakin sees that he has no choice but to cut Windu's lightsaber-wielding arm off, allowing Palpatine to use his unlimited power to hit him with Force lightning and then force push him into the depths of Coruscant. Anakin is left with immediate guilt and regret as he exclaims, "What have I done?" This, to me, is a really big scene in the movie. So, how many points did we give Mace Windu's death here?
I gave it a 10. This scene is awesome. I love this scene.
No justice. 13 out of 15.
Oh, Nate, I give it 13 as well.
Let's go. Great minds think alike. There we go.
So Brent, just kind of walk us through your breakdown for this.
I gave it a 3 for shock. I wasn't too shocked that Mace Windu died. More of just how. I think I love the scene more for the method, I think, of him shooting Mace Windu's like lightsaber and it getting like reflected back on him and him getting like electrocuted the entire time is awesome.
Yeah.
I love that so much. And then I think that reflects to a 3 with the style. Like it wasn't like the coolest shot ever, but it was really cool. So I think that was kind of my thinking with it. Like I wasn't too shocked that Mace Windu died or anything or how he died because he kind of just got cut and then thrown out a window, but it's the lightning getting reflected at Palpatine and him still like murking him, I think was the coolest part of the scene.
I think I know we've kind of talked about how we don't expect too many characters to really be leaving this movie going into it, but for some reason I was always surprised with Windu dying just because he always seemed like such a badass and he killed Jango Fett in the previous movie, so like you just know that he's just hard as fuck. Like he's just, he's a stud. And I don't know why, I was just always surprised that he died here. I mean, I gave shock 4 because again, there was like a little bit of room for him to be expected to die, but not too much for me. So I gave it 4 for shock. I gave it 4 for method because of everything you said, Brent. It was so cool just because he kind of got like double teamed. Anakin cuts off his arm and then we get like that awesome Force lightning that we've only seen so far in we see Dooku do it, but we've only seen so far by Palpatine in Return of the Jedi. So it was just so cool to like kind of see that callback. And he gets just blasted across Coruscant. So I gave it 5 points for style too, because there's so much emotion behind all of this with Anakin and Palpatine, and like it's just definitely like if this scene went one way, the movie would have been completely different. So yeah, that's kind of my breakdown. Shock 4, method 4, style 5.
Yeah, I actually gave method and style 5s for the exact same reasons you just said, Brucker. But my shock was a 3 because it was more a sense of, yes, we knew he was going to die, and we knew that Mace Windu was pretty much like number 2 in terms of top Jedis, right? Compared to Yoda and the rest of the guys. So it was like, I wasn't super satisfied with how he died. However, if the number 2 guy is going to die, it at least has to be at the hands of like the most powerful Sith, right?
Mm-hmm. And the chosen one. Apparently.
And now and the chosen one. So I was like, you know what? I'll give him that. So that's where they kind of gained back points for me, and that's where it was just like an even 3.
You know, I've never thought about that, about how like the heaviness of like the two people that he's fighting in this scene. You know, Anakin who's supposed to be the chosen one, and Palpatine who's like the most powerful Sith ever. Yeah, so I've never thought about that. It's really about how it took both of them to kill him off. Because do y'all think that so I've heard, me and my friends have kind of debated this before. Do y'all think that Palpatine started to go easy because he kind of faked this to like kind of like gaslight Anakin even more with how corrupt the Jedi are? Or do y'all think that like Windu was really actually about to like win this duel?
I think until Anakin showed up, I felt like it was more of an even match between Windu and Palpatine. But the second Anakin showed up, I felt like it was all, like you said, gaslighting for Palpatine, just to kind of like turn Anakin a little more. It was just an opportunity just kind of handed to him. You know what I mean? Wasn't planned. I felt like that fight would have gone on a little bit longer, but Anakin just made it that much easier.
100%. It was definitely like, I think Mace Windu could have won on a different day maybe, but it was 100% one of those things like, this is how I get Anakin to turn over to me. This is how I get him to submit.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, 'cause I definitely felt like this was like the final nail in the coffin. Because like Anakin is trying to like at least just like get him arrested and just like keep him alive to like maybe like, I don't know, talk to him in jail or something. I don't know, but yeah, this is the final straw where he just goes, fuck it, I have to cross over the line now. And
I love that.
Yeah, I love it too.
I love that line at the end of like, what have I done?
It's so good. There's so much emotion in this scene and in this kill. It's so good. I love it.
Now to move on to kills I don't love.
Yeah. So this is going to be a little messy. So we're going to what I call the 66ers. With Mace Windu being dead and Anakin now newly appointed as the Sith Lord Darth Vader, Palpatine is ready to execute Order 66. The clone troopers begin to turn on their Jedi counterparts all across the galaxy. Nate, can you help me out here with these
names?
Yes, with these names.
Do you want all the names or?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Let's go through this.
So we got Ki-Adi-Mundi, Ayla Secura, Plo Koon, and Stas Ali.
Thank you. Yeah, I would butcher all of those names. So they are shot to death, shot down while flying over a city, and then Stas Ali is shot to death, but by speeder bikes. So just some variety in this. So let's just kind of go around the room and talk about how we kind of like break these down.
I rank them all the same. Like, no one's like stuck out to me to where it would get a higher ranking. So I think all of these, if I was to give my ranking now, I think all of these would get a 9. But if I'll say something else in a minute.
So for the ones that I was invested in, I was actually pretty disappointed in how they died. I ranked them all separately. I felt like every person had just like a different level of severity to their death. So Ki-Adi-Mundi I had 9, Ayla Secura I had 7, Plo Koon was a 5, and that was disappointing. But Stas Ali was a 12.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I mean, we can talk about that. But Brucker, how'd you rate this scene, and what'd you feel?
I did what Brent did and kind of just like average this as like 1. So I gave them all 9.5 points. So I'm like kind of shocked that on average rated some of these higher than you did, Nate. But and that's fine. We're all allowed to have our opinions. But
we don't have to get into like each individual person. I felt like Ki-Adi-Mundi, he put up a good fight, but that was like very middle of the pack. Ayla Secura, that was just like an absolutely brutal kill. It was an overkill at that point because I mean she really just got shot, she fainted or she fell down. But then like the additional scene of them just like piling on, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That was just mutilation at that point, and it was a bit excessive. Mm-hmm. Plo Koon was super disappointing. Homeboy, I mean, he just got his wing shot, and then he just kind of fluttered into a building.
Don't remind me.
And for the character that he was in Clone Wars, that was absolutely no justice given to him. But Sasa Leak, where I had her as a 12, I thought that was the most shocking of all of them, and I have no investment in her character whatsoever. She is given almost no spotlight in the Clone Wars, almost no spotlight in any comics, but Shock 5, Style 5, Swoop Bike, Death, getting shot down
Swoop
was a 2.
Bike.
Speeder bike, whatever. Her body is flung from the bike, and the bike like ricochets off one pillar, and her body like flails off another pillar, and then they both just come tumbling down and rolling into the ground. And I just thought that was just like, whoa, that was super excessive, especially given the fact that she doesn't really mean anything to anybody. And it was just like, why did she get just completely pummeled that way? And that's where the 12 came in, because I was just like, whoa.
For Shock, I gave all these 3.5, just because I didn't know how the Jedi would be wiped out. And so this was just like a really big surprise to me, especially when I was a kid and I watched it. It was like, oh my God, like they made their friends, their brothers in war, the Clone Wars the Clone Troopers turn on them and kill them. That to me was just like, oh my God, that is shocking and just horrifying too. This is also where I feel like a lot of horror comes into this movie, because it's a betrayal of trust, and that is very scary. And yeah, so I gave it like 3.5 points out of 5, just because that is so shocking. Style points, 3.5 as well, because the music is so great during this. Like John Williams knocks it out of the park. This is actually, I think, my favorite Star Wars soundtrack, to be honest.
It's so good.
It's so great, and it's so emotional. It's so good, especially like when Elia Secura, I'm butcher that name, sorry. The second Jedi that dies on Felucia, which is a very pretty planet, and is just like these mix of things, because she's on like this very lush planet surrounded by life, but she is just, as you said, being overkilled. And it's just so like I gave it like style there too, because of like all like the music and tone and emotions that we're setting up here. For methods, I kind of just like averaged them like 2.5 points each, just because I mean like they kind of like it kind of sucks to see Jedi just being shot and like that's how they died, just being like hit with a blaster. So that's kind of like where I'm at on it.
Okay, fair.
I agree with Brucker 100% with the Shock. I think it is horror movie like I think I gave it a 5. The Shock is 5 for like all of them, but if I could give a perfect 15 for Shock alone, I would. I think every time I get to Order 66, I don't want it to happen. I don't like Order 66, like in terms of like in universe, like it's so, like it is horror. Like it's one of those things where the clones are so cool. Like the clones, even in Clone Wars or even just in these movies, are cool people. Like in Clone Wars, you have like Rex and all of them that are just like, they do seem like they want to help like the Republic, and they are cool people. And then you get to Order 66 and they have to turn on everybody. It sucks, man. Like it is one of those things where I hate seeing all these Jedi like die to the people they trusted. It's rough, man. As for like the kills though, I gave them both 2. Like they weren't anything that really stuck out to me. I will agree with Nate that the speeder bike one, that one was a little bit rough, but like most of them were like getting shot in the back, or like my boy Plo Koon dying because they shot his ship. Like, so other than that, like Shock alone, yeah, these propel really high, but in terms of like the kill, not too high for me. Not Shock. Style and method are both 2 for me. They just don't really stand out. all too well. Besides the speeder bike, most of them getting shot in the back or stuff like that. Nothing much that stands out.
Yeah, that's kind of like where like the half point came in for me for the 2.5, because with Plo Koon and the speeder bike, like them being shot down, it's like, all right, that's like a little bit of variety. But still, like, I would have wanted to see like a little bit more variety than just being pew in the back.
I'll say the severity of like everyone turning around and just suddenly shooting them in the back, like that hits.
Yeah,
that hits really hard. But if you're ranking like how hard of a kill that is to like do, or like the style of it, it's pretty low. But I think that goes into shock of everyone just like walking, letting someone go forward, and then just turning and shooting. Like that hits when you think about it that way.
I completely agree. Yeah.
Well, you also got to consider, like, for the shock part of it is that like Jedi have that like foresight, right? They can sense danger before it comes, and you would think that a lot of them would actually like anticipate this kind of happening. But it really goes to show how much they trusted their clone troopers that they were with, to the point where they wouldn't even consider them as a threat at this point. You know what I mean? And I think, I think you guys pretty much already said that. I just was repeating it, but it just adds to the severity of the whole situation, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah, 100%. Like, if you watch Clone Wars, like, the clones are family to most of the Jedi. So that hits hard.
While stationed on Kashyyyk, an assassination attempt happens on Yoda as 2 clone troopers try to shoot him from behind. Yoda, being the wise, powerful Jedi Master that he is, senses this and does a backflip as he performs a double decapitation on the troopers. Fucking awesome. That's what I wrote down. I love this. What did everyone think of this?
If you guys didn't give this a 5 for style, you're insane. So
Yeah,
sorry. Brent, you go ahead.
100%.
With that in mind, Brent, give us your rating.
5, I guess. No, but 100%. I gave it a 10. It was 2, 3, 5. The style is what makes this kill. Everything else, it's like, okay, you could say it's shocking that Yoda killed some people, but it's 100% the style makes this kill for me.
I gave it an 8 out of 15.
What?
And hold on. There's 2 ratings for this, an 8 out of 15 and then an 11 out of 15. So an 11 out of 15.
Oh my God. I need like a calculator for your rankings. All right, go on.
The 11 out of 15 is the ranking from the Wookiee in that scene. Because that dude was shocked, man. That was a 5 for him. He was like, "What the hell is happening?"
The fuck did they do, man?
He literally screamed. He was like, "Oh!" But for the Yoda ranking, for my ranking, I gave it an 8 out of 15 because 2, when we saw, like, we heard the little clone noises and we saw Yoda's eyes, I was like, oh, it's about to go down. And so I knew it was coming, right? I wasn't super shocked. It was a 2. Method was a 1 because it's decapitation. I know.
Okay.
I'm trying to stay consistent with, well, maybe I wasn't. I don't know. but
There are no
5
rules.
5 for style because of that freaking backflip. And then he just like holsters his lightsaber and then just like Kane walks away like a freaking pimp, dude. That was insane.
I think maybe I'll take my method down from a 3 to like a 2. I agree.
No, what are y'all doing?
No,
You're
decapitation
going the wrong
is
way.
one of the. It's like I want to give it a 3 for method, but the same because it is cool, but also is like he just cut the heads off of those guys. So I think my total's a 9.
Oh man, my total's a 13 for this. I ranked this really high. So shock, I gave it a 4. Not because I was surprised that they were going to die, but I was like that Wookiee, like Nate just. I was like, whoa, what just happened? And
Hey, yo, man, tiny man killed those guys.
on sight. They didn't even say anything to him. And I in method, I gave it 5 because it was a backflip double decapitation. Think about the coordination for that. Like he did a double. Like I don't know why I have to like emphasize this. 2 heads were chopped off in 1 backflip. Like that's amazing by like a little short dude.
That's your method. That's your method rating.
5, yeah. In style points, I gave it 4 because awesome double.
I thought that was style you were ranking. I was like, I agree with you, but for method, I don't know. I don't know about a 5
because the method is a backflip decapitation. Is how I'm like curving this.
I feel like the backflip is more the style. Dude, method and style were getting me so messed up for this whole ranking.
It's so
system.
subjective. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll respect your rating because that was a badass kill.
And also, I just want to show some appreciation to how fucking rad the green camo looks with the clone troopers and like the green visors.
Yeah.
It's every time I see it, I'm just like, God, that's so badass.
Yeah. That's the skin I would use in Battlefront 2.
Absolutely.
It just looked amazing.
Hey, you guys want to talk about that for 30 minutes?
Absolutely not.
Not even sarcasm, not even hypothetically. I want to talk about that for 30 minutes.
Shut
Yeah.
that down.
But yeah, no, I'm surprised with how many points I gave this, but like every time I see it, I'm like, God, that's rad. Just, it's great. Darth Vader has made his way through the Jedi Temple, murdering his once Jedi brothers and sisters. He has made it to a room where Jedi younglings are sheltering. They ask Master Skywalker what they are going to do. The scene ends with Darth Vader igniting his lightsaber as the youngling jumps back in horror and surprise. We later see Vader fighting the younglings on a hologram, confirming the worst. The younglings at the Jedi Temple, death by Darth Vader. Where are we at on this?
This is where I said I think I'm just going to give it a 5 for shock. But thinking about it, I think maybe a 7. I think 2 for method is just because, like, I think just cutting to black after the lightsaber igniting was just so, like, dark, haunting, and just, is it messed up to say cool?
No,
like,
it's not.
It's
I mean,
definitely
it is, but
like,
I agree.
It's definitely like just dark and haunting. I guess cool. I just repeated it. To see like just the lightsaber ignite and it just cuts to black. I think that was a really like nice choice because it's a messed up kill 100%. So I don't want to give it any style or anything, but it's a cool shot.
Yeah.
You know, just maybe not a cool kill because it's younglings, but it's a really cool shot.
I gave it an 8. Hold on, let me pull up my rankings. Why? I felt like this one was all shock for me. Getting into the specifics. 1 for method because it was just simple kills. 2 for style, mainly because in the recordings, homie just muscled these dudes. I know. I'm sorry.
It wasn't even a contest.
It's like that SNL skit with Peyton Manning. Where they're just like throwing piss missiles to little kids.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a good one to go to. I went to the Billy Madison, where he's doing dodgeball with the kids. But 2 for style, mainly because he did like a little spin because he was like, oh, I'm going to get a little extra in on this one. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say. This is a fucked up scene. So.
Guys, I'm about to be judged so fucking hard. I gave this 12 points.
What?
So shock is 5. Max out shock because I think we've all talked about that. Method, I only gave it 2 points for method because it's like all off screen. And I would have liked to
give it
have
a 5 for style.
I gave it 5 for style because it's so okay. Well, think about it here for a second. Okay, so I gave it 5 for style because one, I think it's like a good thing they didn't like show this. They kind of left this to the imagination, which is also just like horrifying thing because now you're imagining what happened. I gave it a lot of style too because of like the hard cut. His lightsaber ignites and we see that little kid jump back. Like you see the horror in him. So like that was like, I was like, oh wow, like because they could have just not had that. They could the kid just stand still, and like we the audience still would have gotten the same like message what was about to happen. But with the kid jumping back, it's like, oh wow, like you see the fear in these kids, and that's like that like really scares you, and like it's a hard cut to like other stuff. So like that's why I gave it style points there. It's like how it was edited around that.
Okay.
It's method, like it's all off screen except for like the Force hologram. This is kind of messed up. I would have liked to see some like Force stuff, like him like throwing a kid across a room, or like Force choking someone, or lightning or something. But yeah, I'm going to shut up before I get like judged super hard for being a serial killer.
Can I take this clip and like put it to authorities or something?
FBI, this guy.
Yeah, this guy, he wanted to see Darth Vader kill those kids. All right, there's a special place in jail for you.
Oh man. But yeah. So I also just remember just being so shocked with this in the theaters.
Yeah. I was not expecting it.
And honestly, like they could have probably left this out, right? Like,
yeah, didn't need it, didn't want it, but we got it.
Yeah.
So,
and it's also just like a super dark thing that we haven't really seen before in Star Wars. So, yikes. I have a feeling somebody was watching this was like, I don't know why this is PG-13. And then when they got here, they went, oh, that's why.
I see.
Bail Organa has come to the Jedi Temple to see what is going on. He is approached by turned clone troopers as they tell him to leave. A Jedi Padawan, Jukasa, emerges, trying to escape the onslaught. He manages to kill off a few clone troopers, but is ultimately shot to death by clone Sergeant Fox as Bail watches in horror. This kill kind of like really came out of nowhere. I wonder if this was like someone's kid, like on the production crew or something.
Wasn't it George Lucas's kid?
I had that thought in the back of my brain, but I couldn't tell if that was like a false memory or not, that I've heard that before.
I feel like I've heard it in like some like extra credit scene or something.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna live by that as fact, because that is totally in my head as well.
I really don't know how to rank this one, to be honest. I think I'm gonna rank it the same thing. Spoilers, I'm gonna rank the next one. I think it's probably just a 5. Like shock alone is a 5. Other than that, like I don't have much to say about it.
Yeah, it's pretty cut and dry. I mean, yeah, there's not too much to say about it.
I think so. By this time in the movie, I'm already numb and I'm like hurt emotionally. And so when this happened, I wasn't like super shocked. But the only reason I gave it a 2 for the shock, because my total score was 8. The only reason I gave it a 2 for shock was I thought we were going to get at least some Jedi surviving. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, here we go. Like this kid's probably going to have like some like spinoff at some point. And
this was before Disney bought it. Yeah.
Yeah. This is before Disney bought it. And then they just lit him up. And I was like, oh, okay. But I gave him a 5. He had a 1 for method because, I mean, they just shot him. But a 5 for style because, like, this dude put up a fight, man. Like, there were some masters who just really just took it and dropped like a sack of potatoes. And this kid was like, he took out guys with him. He was doing flips. He was dancing around. I thought he was going to make it to the ship. And then he didn't. But yeah, good for him.
That was something I wrote down as well for style points. I said the guy went out like a champ. So,
dude, with like 5 years of training, like, you really put up a fight. So
yeah, I'm kind of like in line with you two. I gave this 6.5 points. Shock 2.5. It was mostly just like, whoa, where did this dude come from? Like, I honestly don't know like where he came from to like enter the scene. Method 1, I mean, kind of everything we've been seeing before. So like he got shot. I don't know. And then style points, like I said, 3 because the dude went out like a champ. So Jukasa. That's a cool name too. That would have been a cool spinoff.
Yeah, Zet Jukasa.
Yeah,
that's a cool name.
But hey,
that's a video game name.
We didn't know Cal Kestis was out there somewhere.
True.
Mm-hmm.
True. Yeah. So that was when I saw the Cal, because like I revisited this movie after like years of not seeing it, and I read the Cal Kestis comics. I was like, oh, is this dude Cal? And then he got shot. I was like, oh no. I guess not. I guess my memories serve that. I'm in the darkest timeline of this dude's life. All right, next, let's go ahead and do this honorable mention. We kind of talked about this before we recorded, but we wanted to go ahead and just mention these. Obi-Wan and Yoda have come to the Jedi Temple to investigate what's going on, and they are just having an onslaught of just killing clones in front of the temple. I will say there is a really neat kill of Yoda throwing his lightsaber into the chest of a clone trooper, and then he like jumps off his chest. That was like the coolest part of this. I like this. Just cool honorable mention.
And he rode his body down like a freaking surfboard on a wave as he pulled his lightsaber out. I was like, that was the most extra shit, but nobody could have done that except for Yoda because he's teeny. Because he's teeny.
Yeah, we're not ranking it, but I would have gave style and method perfect 5s. That whole scene is just awesome.
I wrote 5, and then my note next to it was swag.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's great. Fun honorable mention. Did Obi-Wan do anything cool with this? Like, I don't remember anything sticking out about him. I just know
he did a couple pirouettes. That was about it.
Yeah, this is like the point in the movie where like he's now going like old Ben Kenobi. And he has like his hood up as he's fighting.
So cool.
It's always like a cool skin to get in like the video games.
Dude, I remember grinding so hard to get the Clone Wars Anakin in Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Oh, right. Yeah. I went ahead and bit the bullet and paid for the like that like deluxe thing where like you kind of just like got like all the DLC stuff as soon as it came out.
I need to do that. I really should.
It's worth it. You still have to like upgrade the cards and stuff. Sorry, we're taking a video game side tangent, but yeah, you still have to like upgrade the cards and stuff. But yeah, Star Wars Battlefront 2 on the next gen consoles, it's a lot of fun.
Great game, dude.
Really, yeah. With all the updates, it is. All right. Moving on back to this movie. After slaying the Jedi at the Jedi Temple, Darth Vader is ordered to go to Mustafar to kill off Viceroy and the rest of the Separatists. Before entering the facility to carry out his dark deed, he tells R2-D2 to wait outside. Vader uses the Force to seal the doors closed, trapping his victims in there with him. He proceeds to cut them down, using his anger and rage that he's been holding on the inside for years. He ignores their pleas for mercy. It ends with a room full of corpses, and Vader's eyes are beginning to turn Sith yellow. So how'd y'all feel about this onslaught scene on Mustafar?
I felt like you put a little emotion in there. You went a little off script with that. Anakin be using all his built-up anger and fear.
I was feeling the emotion behind all of this.
Yeah, I could tell. You're going to be disappointed. I gave it a 5.
What?
5 out of 15. I'm sorry. What'd you guys give it?
I gave it a 13.
I'm so stuck. I guess emotionally I feel Brent. Like emotionally I want to give this a 13, but it's losing points for me with the method just because so much of it happens off screen. Like we just see a couple of slashes and slashes across the chest, but really awesome style points. I'm 5 style points. I love everything about this. I just wasn't too shocked about it, and I'm having a hard time with method because so much of it happens off screen. If we were to see more of it, I would probably max this out. It's a really cool emotional scene to me.
I agree with you, but at the same time, I think it hooks me enough. I gave it a 5 for method and a 3 for style.
That's cool.
I think having them cut to off screen, I think I would have liked to see the deaths, but I think it just makes it feel more kind of oh shit, this is happening. He's killing all these guys, and it just feels like a really dark tone that really gets me every time.
Mm-hmm.
You are seeing Darth Vader emerge. I mean, I guess kind of when he killed the younglings, but you are seeing Darth Vader. He's born now, and I think that's cool. I think that is a turning point for Anakin, and the method being 5 is definitely the cuts. I think really elevates it for me.
You're totally right about this is the birth of Vader. This is when we see his yellow eyes for the first time, right? So that's where I gave it a 3 for style, but I gave it a 1 for shock and a 1 for method because these were these were easy kills. These were noob kills. And I likened it to just like shooting fish in a barrel because these guys were unarmed. They had a couple of droids with them, yeah. But at the same time, I mean, homie just like walked through the room and just slashed these guys who were just calling the shots in the background. You know, they're not fighters. So I just wasn't super impressed. I get the emotion. There was a ton of emotion to it. Ton of emotion.
Yeah, I
that's
agree
just
with
not
you.
what I was ranking into it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it probably like makes some of my other rankings null and void because I said, "Oh, he just slashed those guys." But I think like
I didn't want to say it. If this was a debate, I totally would have called you out.
We're just having fun here, guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely is like the emotion of it though that really like I think that's what seals the deal other than besides the whole Palpatine like killing a couple guys. I think this is what sets this apart from that is I'm feeling why Anakin is killing these people now. Like Palpatine, like yeah, he's evil, but like I'm feeling that Anakin is becoming evil now. I know Anakin never wanted to be like this, so for me the shock is 5. I'm like, this is the first time like we're seeing Anakin being a cold-blooded killer.
That's a really good point, actually.
Yeah, and I think the whole method being 5 is just like it plays into being a cold-blooded killer. Like he is literally just not caring about these guys at all. So this being the birth of Vader, I think, is what makes the method a 5 rather than Palpatine being like, "I am the Senate."
So I'm gonna have to hard disagree on the. I know this is for fun. I'm gonna have to hard disagree on this is the first time we've seen him like meaninglessly kill people because in episode 2 he did that whole slaughter scene of the Tusken Raiders when he was rescuing his mom. So I feel like we've already kind of gotten a glimpse of this, and I felt like it's always been in him since that moment that he was like bound to like slaughter a group of people at some point. And for it to be guys that he's been chasing after throughout this entire war, I was like, this is where it comes to fruition. So it was bound to happen, but I wasn't surprised.
To be devil's advocate here, to the point you just made, Nate, which is a good point. I will say, like, at least in like the Star Wars world, the Tusken Raiders that he killed in episode 2, like the audience is kind of left feeling like they're kind of like subhuman, and like the people in universe just don't really like see them. They kind of just like see them as like animals, not like human beings or like beings with like a conscience and thoughts. So like they're like, oh, he just like Padme didn't even like blink, didn't even like bat an eye that he like killed them, but like now like he's killing like people with like autonomy and like that are these were like generals and like people that like were like in charge of building the droid army, like people that were like important and stuff. So like I could see the difference there and like into like the argument that Brent was trying to make. But just to be devil's advocate, I was just going to like point that out. But whether that's like messed up or not, like the Star Wars universe kind of sees them as subhuman. That's a whole nother like discussion. But yeah, I was just going to point that out.
Let me devil's advocate your devil's advocate real quick. You started this. Oh, I think I started this actually.
I love it.
But I'm gonna finish it. So when we actually discussed this on our Mandalorian episodes, where the first episode of season 2 compared the Tusken Raiders to like Native Americans, and everyone else is just like the Westerners of the United States, right? And that the Tusken Raiders are viewed as savages. They're not truly people. And so with that in mind, I feel like watching that Tusken Raider scene, if you're viewing it from that standpoint, yeah, they're savages, sure. But if you view it from the standpoint that they are actually people, he really did slaughter innocent people. And we don't really know the context of what was going on between Anakin's mom. I'm not justifying the kill, but I'm saying like, we don't know all the details.
They were animals, and I slaughtered them like animals. Yeah, that's a way to make me sound like an asshole. Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm sorry, Brent. I cut you off twice. So
no, it's okay.
Speak twice. Speak your mind.
I agree with both of you. Like, I think Nate's making really good points in terms of like, comparing the Tusken Raiders to like the Native Americans. 100%. Like, I don't think Anakin should have slaughtered all those people. But I understand why he did it. I think there is a point to be made that Anakin was trying to avenge his mother, and he was, going off the deep end, things like that. I still don't think it's right, but I can understand, like, yeah, these people killed his mother. This whole scene speaks to me differently in terms of this is the first time we are seeing, like, because back then Anakin, I feel, still had the light in him. He was still kind of a Jedi, even though he was not doing Jedi things. I will 100% agree with you. But this is the first time we're really seeing the Sith emerge in Darth Vader. He's killing people that he's worked with, like he's killing, I don't know, people close to him. He is turning his back on everybody and becoming Darth Vader. And I think for me, and this is first like big slaughter as Darth Vader. So I think for me that kind of elevates it more than definitely the Tusken Raider scene, and definitely more than the I Am the Senate scene.
Okay, thank you for bringing us back to this scene, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Really good points, and I like. I tend to agree with Brent on this, that because I feel like during the Mustafar scene, he's allowing all of his fear, anger, and hatred, all the things that the Sith draw from, to come out during this. While with the Tusken Raiders, I felt like it could have been like slightly more balanced, like during that slightly. But I don't actually know. But that's just my headcanon.
Okay.
Okay,
I've spoken my piece. I'm done.
That's cool. That's cool. Okay,
you guys are tired of hearing from me.
I'm totally cool with this.
No, you're good.
So, one last honorable mention, Anakin Skywalker. This very iconic duel between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, but we are now going to like witness the physical transformation of Anakin into Darth Vader through this fight with what happens between him and Obi-Wan. Brent, it was your idea to bring this up, so I'll kind of let you take the floor on this.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think at this point, to Obi-Wan, he's still Anakin, where he says, like, you were my brother, Anakin. Like, to him, this is Anakin. To Anakin, maybe he's maybe he's Darth Vader at this point. But this fight is really the transformation into Obi-Wan just killed Anakin, and Palpatine took his body and revived him, birthing Darth Vader forever. Like, there's no way to go back to Anakin Skywalker until the very end, when he sacrifices himself to Palpatine in episode 6. So to me, like, this is for one, it's the coolest fight in the entire thing because it's quotable. They're fighting on Mustafar in the volcano. It's awesome. Mm-hmm. But just like that ending just sticks out to me every time, where they have that very much a meme, but that awesome conversation. Like, I love it so much, and symbolically I think it's an awesome death of Anakin Skywalker.
And it's also like a death of a friendship too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly, because even though the Jedi were not supposed to have attachment, like, they were brothers. Like, Obi-Wan cared for Anakin, and Anakin assumedly cared for Obi-Wan. So it's a very touching fight at the end that I really enjoy.
I have nothing to add to that. I feel like you guys summed it up perfectly. I think this was it was incredible.
Yeah, it's so good. And when I was watching this for this recording, because I watched it with my girlfriend, and she's she's not like as into Star Wars as I am, which is fine. And because when Obi-Wan saw the hologram of Anakin killing the younglings, and my girlfriend went, shouldn't he be like way more emotional about this? And my like reasoning's always been like, well, Jedi aren't like really supposed to have like possessions or like show like too much emotion. So like this is still him kind of doing that. And then on Mustafar, when he finally defeats him, chops off all his limbs, this is when he gives that awesome emotional speech, and he like breaks down and cries, because it's like he now allows himself to feel his emotions and just like get it all out. When like I don't think we ever see him get emotional again or prior to this, really, at least in the movies.
Yeah, because he just killed his attachments. Like, any attachment he has as a Jedi, he just killed in front of him.
Mm-hmm. And also just the emotional weight too that he's holding here, because I love thinking about Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan carries so much emotional weight in this saga because he watched his master die in front of him, and on his dying breath, he promised to raise this kid to be a Jedi, and they have formed this brotherhood, this bond together. And now he has both failed his master that he looked up to so much with his dying wish, and he has failed this child that he promised to raise. He's just overwhelmed with emotion and guilt here, and it's just this. Ewan McGregor kills it with that speech on Mustafar.
It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
I could just quote it like without even trying.
Yeah, it's so great. So yeah, honorable mention, the death the death of this friendship and Anakin Skywalker into fully Darth Vader.
15 out of 15.
Agreed.
Alrighty, we are on to our final death of the movie, Padme. As Vader is being reconstructed, Padme is struggling to hang on to life as she gives birth to both Luke and Leia. After naming her twins and telling Obi-Wan that she knows there's still good in Anakin, she passes away. So this one is pretty tamed compared to the rest of the movie. Where did everyone have Padme?
Dude, I hate this death so much. This is like a 2.
Yeah.
This is like 2 a little bit for shock and like nothing else. Like, like I don't know if I like really hate it, but it's just kind of like she dies of a broken heart, and it's I get it, but it's also like, oh shit, she wasn't in the original trilogy. Like this is the most like this ending here, which I don't even really hate. How they set up where the kids go and where Obi-Wan goes, but this is the one I don't like the most. Of like, this is the most egregious. She wasn't in the original trilogy. What do we do with her? And she dies of a broken heart. Like, I get that it's a thing that can happen, but it just feels so underwhelming for someone who was like a queen to get like roped in by this Jedi, fall in love with him, have his kids, and then like as soon as he dies, she just can't hold on anymore and she dies. It just felt so weird to me.
Yeah, I feel like it's such like a missed opportunity to like make her like a really like cool, strong character in this prequel trilogy. Like I wish we got more of her to feel this a little bit more, because I was like more sad for like Luke and Leia, to be honest. Like, oh wow, like this is how like their mom dies. I was like more sad about for them as opposed to like feeling for Padme.
I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, I had it ranked low, like numerically, but I guess in terms of coming from the emotional aspect of it, I felt like the whole like dying of a broken heart really wasn't like too much of a cop out, mainly because like we've seen this in like news stories in the article, like an elderly couple, like one of them passes away and then the partner passes within like a short time after that. It's just like they literally just can't go on without this person, just because they like were partners in life. And yes, it's sad for the children, but I had it ranked as a 5 because it was 1 for method, 1 for style, but 3 for shock, mainly because I felt like it was like pure negligence on the part of Obi-Wan and Yoda, because when they told her that she died, they're like, oh, how did she die? And he was like, oh, it was a broken heart. And it was like, no, she actually died because she was going through the stress of labor, and this motherfucker's showing her videos of her husband killing children. Like, what did you expect to happen? She's under extreme stress. She's giving birth to twins, man. She didn't even know she had twins. And yeah, like that's just additional stress. Like, what do you do if your partner, you're just like, oh, this is my husband, he's killing people, and I'm already not in a good place, like health wise.
Yeah, under that lens, it's definitely different.
Yeah, I gave this 4 points, 1 for shock, 2 for method, 1 for style. And the style just came in like, it's like at least she was able to like name her twins before she passed, which I don't know. There are no rules to this podcast. So for method, I was kind of thinking like, depending on how you look at it, I've like read this theory that she didn't die of like a broken heart, but like both her life and Anakin's lives were like in like the balance of like on the edge of dying, and Palpatine was like able to like manipulate the Force to like take her life to save Anakin, and that's why that happened. I mean, that's just like a theory I read somewhere, but I kind of like that interpretation better than what the Uba doctor says, that she just gave up the will to live.
I feel like that what you just said is totally my headcanon now, given the context of the sequel trilogy, how he was able to just like suck the life out of Kylo and Rey.
Yeah, that's
so
a good point.
Good point. Very good point. It plays.
Yeah, so sounds like method death by Palpatine, manipulating the Force, if you think about it that way. A little bit cooler.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where, because even throughout the whole movie, Anakin only goes to the dark side because he wants to save Padme from like some vision or something. He thinks that Padme is going to die. So like, it is tragic in some way that he had to like kill himself to save Padme, and she still died. So on that front, like, it definitely hits if you think about it like that. But I think how the movie presents it is just one of those like, what do we do with this character? Okay, let's kill her on this operating table. Like, it's it doesn't hit the same way within the context of what the movie's showing me at that time.
Yeah, it definitely felt like, well, we got to wrap this up. We're almost at 2.5 hours. Instead of going through the whole list, because there was a lot of kills in here, I'll just at least say my top 3, which were Mace Windu, Count Dooku, and the 2 clones on Kashyyyk that Yoda decapitated. Those were my top 3 kills on here. Mace Windu being my favorite.
Yeah, it's definitely like Count Dooku, Grievous, and then part of me wants to say the Yoda like stabbing that guy and then like riding, but I'll say that. Because I was gonna say the one where Darth Vader like kills those people off screen, but I'd say the Yoda one's funnier.
Funnier. Oh my gosh. I think Dooku was unanimous number 1 for all of us. My number 2 was Mace Windu, and then my 3 was Stas Ali, the girl who got killed on the speeder bike, swoop bike, whatever you want to call it.
You are a man of taste, Nate. You never disappoint to surprise me with things like that. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on to talk about Revenge of the Sith, to do a kill grade with me. This was a very fun, silly episode. I hope that people listening got to enjoy this. I will be back next episode with a full-fledged horror movie. I'll be talking about Freaky, the 2020 movie of Vince Vaughn. So much fun. Brent, can you please tell people where they can find you and your podcast?
Yeah, so you can find the Uncultured Opinions Podcast and the Free to Play Podcast all on YouTube, all streaming services. Uncultured Opinions, not all on YouTube yet because I get really lazy sometimes. But yeah, streaming services have you. I am on Twitter at Porkchop1864. Instagram at Brent Likes Chimichangas. Actually, that's private, so don't actually try to. I forgot I have that on private. So yeah, and then my podcasts have their respective Twitter accounts and stuff like that. YouTube Porkchop118 and Twitch at Porkchop118YT. I do make video essays and I play random games.
Awesome. I'll be sure to put links to your podcast in the show notes if people want to go over and check out Brent and his fun podcast. And thank you everybody for listening. If you look over in the show notes, you also see links to my Buy Me a Coffee page with some fun rewards, and also a link to go and donate to the Spirit of Children charity. Thank you everybody for listening. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks, Brent and Nate. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks, Brucker.
Thanks, Brucker.
Bye.
Bye.